Hello and welcome to another My NT&D Marriage video. I want to talk about the phrase, too sensitive. I don't know how long into the relationship, very early into the relationship, my partner started telling me that I was too sensitive. That things were only bothering me because I was a snowflake who was easily offended. And this really annoys me. I mean, let's just say there is such a thing as too sensitive. You're either a sensitive person or you're not. And if you are a sensitive person, it doesn't mean that people can say and do whatever in the hell they like and you're just too sensitive, you've got to just suck it up. There still needs to be a certain level of respect for that person and their sensitivity levels. But for my husband telling me that I was too sensitive, well, that just annoyed me because I know myself. I'm the opposite of that. I am super tough and super stoic, and I care very little about what people think or say about me, in that I don't take it to mean that I suck. If somebody insults me, I take it to mean that they suck. They're the villain. They're the ones wanting to put somebody down and make themselves feel better. But the things that my husband has said to me over the years, there's not been a single person who's ever heard those remarks he said and thought they're water off a duck's back. Most people have gone, wow, that's hard to hear. That's hard to bear. How do you even sleep with him? Why are you still with him? They're the comments that I get. Why aren't you leaving? Now, if what he was saying was so blasé, and I'm just too sensitive, people would not be giving me that reaction. They would be saying, don't worry about it. My husband has said worse. And you know what I've never heard? Somebody tell me their husband has said worse. Now, I haven't spoken to everybody in the world. I'm sure there are far more worse husbands than mine. But the things that he has said, they're hard to hear. They're not insults, direct insults, not like verbal attacks about my specific being. They're just hard to hear things. And the really funny thing about my husband, and when I say funny, I do mean humorous funny, not odd funny. I don't say much to him by way of insults. And Lordy Lord, have I wanted to. Anyway, I don't, but I have wanted to. And on occasion I've said the odd thing. So he asked me once if I would do him a sexual favour. And at the time, we were going through something, I can't remember. And I said to him, oh no, you're not even nearly worth it, worth my effort of doing that. And he wrote that down on a sticky note and stuck it to the bathroom mirror as a reminder of this awful thing that I'd said to him. I mean, completely taken out of context when it's just a sticky note stuck on a mirror saying you're not even nearly worth it, because it was not the exact conversation. Nonetheless, it stayed up there for years. And it was the only thing that stayed up there for years. He didn't add any other sticky notes to it because it didn't say anything else. The point I'm making is, I'm supposedly too sensitive, but he's the one who's offended enough by that remark to stick a sticky note on a window, a mirror, to remind him of how offensive I am. And there was that other time recently where I called him a doink deliberately just to see what he would do. And he was like, oh, don't say that to me. And somebody pointed out that he was probably more offended of the fact that doink probably means dumb or stupid or something, and he didn't like being called that. And that's fair enough. But his reaction to that, now imagine if I'd been really bitchy and said, oh, you're just too sensitive. Therefore I can call you whatever in the hell I want. I would never do that. But that's the thing, is that he's actually more sensitive than I am. He always has been. It's why I don't call him things, because he's not tough enough to handle it. And on the note of too sensitive, hubby was yelled at by a guy at work some years ago now, and he was upset. He was traumatised by it, pacing backwards and forwards, wanting to quit and complain to their honchos and everything. He was really, really, really upset. And this is a guy who yells at me all of the time, talking to me about how bad it was to be yelled at. And you don't know, although you could imagine how hard I had to work to hold my tongue. I had to sympathise with him. My poor husband got yelled at. I had to be the good wife and go, oh, you poor thing, I know how that feels. When I wanted to say, now you know how I feel. Did you like it? No. Well, why are you doing it to me? But that's not the time or the place. He's feeling upset. I've got to sympathise with him. But this is what I mean by too sensitive. He gets yelled at once and he's distraught. He yells at me all of the time and I just have to take it. But he's the one telling me I'm too sensitive? Goofy. And so yeah, I get really, 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 really annoyed with that phrase, you're too sensitive. It either offends you or it doesn't. And if it does offend you, then there's reasons. Now, granted, somebody could have trauma in their past where the smallest comment about a specific thing does trigger them. And that could be a sensitivity on their part. But I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about 24 years in a relationship with somebody who finds the weirdest ways to say crappy things to me, and then people trying to then convince me that I'm just too sensitive, and I 100% disagree. Even my bestie said something like that and I was like, what the hell? Like, have you met me? And I said, I think it's the opposite. I think you cannot survive in a relationship with an Aspie if you are too sensitive. You have to be tough. You have to be water off a duck's back and letting it slide. You have to find the thought process behind what it is that they've said. You have to be understanding. You have to keep still building them up regardless of what they're saying to you, and building yourself up. You know, again I say, people who insult me, I tend to dislike them. So if we go back to another reference I've made earlier about how my husband had said to me, I'd respect you more if you'd achieved something. Now at the time I was gutted, you know, you may as well kick me in the guts. I was like, dude, ouch, where on earth did that come from? Sucker punch. But afterwards I went up to him and I said, no, I 100% disagree. And I listed all of the things that he has achieved because of me and that I have achieved before I met him and during our relationship together. For example, the house we live in this house because I sold my house to pay for this one. So don't tell me you'd respect me more if I've achieved something. This house is here because of me. And our children are really good children. You know, that is an achievement. Parenting and motherhood is so downplayed, but not everybody's a good mother. In fact, there are really, really, really shitty parents out there. And so to me, having wonderful, beautiful, healthy children who have respect and manners and they're just good people, that is an achievement. So yeah, he says that to me, he's trying to insult me, And yes, I was like shocked when he first said it. But then I came back with a, you're wrong. That's not even an accurate statement. Because I know myself. I know what I'm good for and what I'm good at. And I know my failings. If he insults one of my failings, that actually tends to hurt me less. Because it's the truth. It's like, oh no, you've noticed. Damn. Thought I was hiding that well. When he insults me for something that's fabricated and untrue, that's when I get really, really annoyed. Because I don't like being misunderstood. I especially don't like being misunderstood by my partner who's supposed to know me really well. And in that regard, they're not compliments. And this is a really, really key thing. People who try to tell you you're too sensitive, I'm sorry, but was it a compliment? Really? If it's not a compliment, it's an insult. Unless you asked for some specific guidance or some home truths. It's just an insult. And then people pretend it wasn't an insult by making you the bad guy for being offended by it. Yeah. So to me, too sensitive, stick it up your bum. I think it's just a BS statement said by people who just want to be cruel and mean and bitter and spiteful. Because at the end of the day, if you are putting people down, there's a reason behind that, and it isn't because you're a happy person. It's not because you're a warm, friendly, loving, or wonderful being, because those kinds of people don't feel the need to put people down. Insults say more about the person giving the insult than who they're trying to insult. So yes, I'm not too sensitive. I'm really quite a tough cookie, and I don't like that statement. Let me know if you agree below. Feel free to comment. Love to hear from you. And as always, thank you so much for watching this video.